Hello and welcome to video 17 in our series Uninvited by Lysa TerKeurst. And this chapter deals with relationships when they end, whether it's a friendship or a family relationship, whatever. This chapter explores the rejection that we experience when we lose a relationship. She's talking in this chapter about a friendship, and she mentioned that she has the desire to live happily ever after with all of her relationships. I mean, don't we all enter into relationships thinking that they're going to last forever? But sometimes they don't. And she shared the story of having to hit the delete contact button on her phone in order to respect her friend's wishes that she not be contacted again. And Lysa on page 68 says, "People who care more about being right than ending right prove just how wrong they were all along. Lord, let me end relationships the right way. The fragile nature of my heart needs time, so I give it just that. They say time heals all wounds, and I think that this can be true, but only if the goal here is healing. Time grows the seeds that are planted, watered, and fertilized. Plant beauty, grow beauty. Plant thorns, grow thorns. Time will allow for either." She said that that relationship that once nourished her soul and gave her energy and took care of her heart now caused a barren ache there. And the question of how do you live loved when a relationship tanks? How can you bring the fullness of God into an emptiness? How can you turn to the truth when you are reeling in pain? She says, in this, she says, "The truth seems to want me to get to a better place. Truth says I have an enemy, but it's not really that person. It's not really her. She may very well be the cause of some hurt in my life, but she's not my enemy. And I may very well be the cause of some hurt in her life, but I'm not her enemy. We have an enemy, and it's not each other. I point my crosshairs at the real enemy and start firing off positive statements about my friend. I list 3 things about her that are absolutely terrific, and then I remember a 4th and a 5th. I picture each of these positive statements wounding the devil, who is our real enemy, as it hits him squarely where he's most vulnerable. Truth proclaimed and lived out is a fiercely accurate weapon against evil. Truth proclaimed and lived out is a fiercely accurate weapon against evil. None of this untangles the issue of my broken relationships, but it did help me reestablish that we are not each other's enemy, but we have a common enemy." I love the sentence there where it says, "Truth proclaimed and lived out is a fiercely accurate weapon against evil." Think about that. Are there people in your life that seem like your enemy? Put your crosshairs on the real enemy, who is the enemy of all relationships. Maybe you'll get a different perspective. God bless, take care, and have an awesome day.